Next up, it's really countdown of ICNC25. We have a really exciting panel, I think for the first time, and we owe it to Stuart Barnes, who is sort of the mastermind, I feel in part behind this stage, that we have a driver panel. So we really hear first-hand experience from drivers. But before we start and introduce the drivers, great time to remind you all that we have a survey in the app. So please, if you have the app on your phone, if you don't have it, download it now. Please fill in the survey. It's really, really important for us so we can make the program and the whole experience even better. And you're very welcome to leave all the feedback in the world. If you say, we did a terrible job on this stage, please tell us. Tell us which topics you'd like to hear more about next year. So I know it's annoying, but it's highly appreciated. Please fill in the survey. Another thing before we introduce, so the speakers are already there, but they can have a look. So I'd like to ask who in the audience is an EV driver, him or herself. So can I have a show of hands? Yeah, so quite a few, not half, but maybe a little bit less. So another thing you can do using the app, you can send us questions. And I think this is going to be a driver panel, and you are drivers as well. So there's really no reason not to get engaged. And I highly encourage you to send your questions or remarks through the app. So when we do the Q&A, we can integrate these. And I'm also, as you know, we always have a mic in the room or multiple mics. So you're very welcome to ask questions also from the audience. So all of the EV drivers, no excuses not to get involved in the discussion. So now that people are arriving here, please grab your headphones and take a seat. We have lots of space up front. I'm very happy to invite the speakers to join me on stage to discuss, are we driving e-mobility in the right direction? Feedback from EV drivers. So I have three awesome, very experienced drivers. Helmut Ness, who is CXO of Fünfwerk Design, when he is not driving his Tesla and charging mostly at home. And then we have Steve Nitschner, who is CEO of Wildstyle Network. And we have Saeed Hassan, long name. And you're really an EV influencer. So welcome on stage. So, it's almost the end of 2 days deep dive e-mobility bubble, and we have all learned a lot about the pros and cons and what's working, what's not working. And now we want to hear, feedback right from the people who experience it every day. And all of the ones who think I'm experiencing it as well, send your questions. I want to start with quickly an overview of what's your charging behavior, so we know sort of what the different use cases are we're covering here. Do you want to start?
I drove a EV car since now 7 years, and my situation is at home I have a wall box, I have a solar panel on the roof, so I have a very comfortable situation, and I start 7 years ago with a Tesla Model 3. So it was very easy for me. The charging, plug and charge was like plug and charge from my user experience. And when I'm on the road in Germany, Switzerland, Austria, or this area, or Denmark, then I totally use the supercharger system. So I don't have to learn a lot. I understand really.
You're really locked in.
Yeah. Then it changed with testing other cars. And then I also the situation that I came up into a situation where I don't have superchargers, and I come into cities where I want to stay for 4 hours at a parking slot. And then I get the trouble in the beginning.
So we know your needs. Don't spoil it all. Where is this going? Let's stick to sort of the primary use case.
And my primary use case though, daily use, hundreds of kilometers, different cars, different models from Tesla, Skoda, Volkswagen, Mercedes, BMW, in Germany, across Europe, in the US. So I try to experience the system, so to say.
You drive for a living.
From end to end for more than 8 years, almost 10 years now, I guess.
You can cover it all.
So I would say that I'm from the different segment, I would say, because I was non-Tesla first of all driver. So I had for 2 years a Volkswagen ID.5. So I drove 38,000 kilometers on it, and I'm the use case where the industry now is heading towards, which was that I was living in an apartment building. So half of the population in Germany lives in apartment building. Infrastructure is old. We do not have all boxes at our garages, so I could not charge AC charging at home. So the only possible point was 95% of my charging sessions were always the fast chargers, and then 5% of it was also AC charging, but it was also again in parking lots, etc. outside. So this was the use case.
Great. So we're covering a very broad space of use cases. That's great. I would like to enter because we want to get your experience and we want to understand whether the industry is focusing on the right things. For that, we need to understand what's going wrong. So, seems very pessimistic, but I'd like to start with the question, one bad experience you had in the last couple of weeks? Like, very from the heart, what was just where, shitty experience where you thought, not necessary, we should be able to solve this?
From my perspective, it was the paywall shitting experience. So I'm try to charge on a charging panel, and I don't get the access because the payment system doesn't work.
Yeah. Can you make it a bit more so?
First, I have to try to understand the panel, how I can pay for it, and mostly I have to go on a web app or or I have to download the app for a particular service.
So you were at a charge point where you could, with none of the cards you had, you were able to pay.
Yes.
Okay, that's.
So this is a little bit when you have pressure. If you have your charging situation is by more or less 5% on the car, then there's a stressful moment.
Was it in Germany? Was it sort of your usual?
It was in Germany, and also part of Germany.
So it was kind of surprising because you would think you find a choice and you have different kinds of contracts that you can use or cards.
I try another way, yeah.
Other bad experiences?
I don't have this experience though. My experience probably comes from a completely different angle.
Yeah.
The worst experiences were with my wife.
It's a very special take.
Look, I never had a problem to pay. We, as a UX designer, you always try to figure it out, and actually, it works. Broadly speaking, it works. But my wife, she refuses to ride a car because she says she doesn't know how to pay. Mm-hmm. And there was one circumstance where she was driving to a vacation spot, kids in the background, sleeping, then waking up at the station. It was a supercharger actually with the Tesla, and she called me 5 times while I was in a meeting because she didn't know how to pay at the Tesla supercharger. She never experienced me that I was never ever paying, so she always says, there's always so many different things that I have to take care of. I'm like, wait, you go there, you plug in, you plug out, you leave, that's it. So the worst experience is the experience my wife didn't have, that it's such a pleasure to just not do anything. So that was a good and a positive negative, so to say.
Okay, but we have 2 times we have payment, even though for different reasons.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can, but I mean, the underlying problem might be a different one, but let's just...
So one of the critical challenges what I had was, even though I worked at a charger manufacturer, so I'm really aware of the pitfalls that can happen.
Yeah.
So I was always very, very prepared. But one thing I'm really lacking is I have Volkswagen, right? So people think that you can route your charging stations, and you guys are used to, so you never will understand it. But Volkswagen charges 900 euros per year for this subscription to have this routing facility. And of course, I did not pay for it, so I had to suffer sometimes, which went, for example, one time I was really down on my SoC, and I knew some charging station was nearby. What happens is that I'm not looking at the app while I'm driving, if this is really available, is it really, although
You just go there.
I just go there. And I went there, there were 2 stations, and both were empty, actually. I was really happy. And on one, the display was completely out of order, so I could not really dial it in and try to charge. And the second was completely not properly working. So the charging session initiated. It takes around 40 seconds to really start a charging session, regardless which charger manufacturer. But it just broke before that. And I had 2 options. Either I call and then let somebody fix, or I just looked at the app. There was 5 kilometers away, and then I just ran over there because there were 12 charging points, and I thought at least something will work. I'm now at 5% SoC. I cannot take so much risk. So that was the only risk I had, because I'm so used to looking at while driving, and I'm like, okay, there's a charging station nearby on Autobahn, for example. I just drive in, and then I'm like, okay, if it works, works, not.
Yeah, and you're 100% relying on public charging, right?
Yes, 100%.
So I'm wondering, maybe let's start with this one. It's a classical one, reliability. We discussed it last year, also in depth. Do you guys share this experience? Is reliability, how much of a pain is it still? Do you often experience chargers that are not working?
I don't know. In Germany, not really. I would say out of 100 charging times, 1 or 2 charging sessions end up where you go to an outlet and that is not working though. But you take the next one.
Yeah.
Apps are these days super reliable. They work. But
also with respect of the availability?
Yeah, also with respect of the availability. That's my personal experience. Nevertheless, just go abroad. And I had more difficult experiences in Poland, in Czech Republic. That was different. So oftentimes you see in the apps, on the front end, you see system should work. There should be one.
Yeah.
You arrive there, you see the system didn't even connect with the grid. So they just put it there and said it's active. But it's not really connected though. So in Germany, personally, I think we're pretty much on a good route. Abroad, I think it's still a thing.
Okay, what would you wish for? Yeah.
I can add what Steve said, that over the last 3 years, I get a little bit more the better feeling that it works. I had some bad experience where I go from station to station or from Lidl market to Rewe market or Edeka market and it doesn't work. By the last more or less 2 years, I get mostly the experience
better. Yeah.
On a better
Please
way.
just jump in, really.
So I'm not a Tesla driver, so I was never really trying to charge at superchargers, always trying different CPOs out of curiosity, first of all, while I was in the industry, and also trying all sort of chargers, whatever charger was available, 50 kilowatts, 120, 350, whatever I could see, I will just go there. And yes, it was sometimes I had the issues that the chargers were not working. For example, nearby there was, for me, a really big superstore, in Germany, supercharging chain, not supercharging, supermarket chain. But over there was a charger that was out of order for 1 year. I lived over there, I charged over there, that was my daily go-to session. And this was the cheapest CPU as well at that time, so I called them multiple times.
Like my life is depending on this.
Yes, it was the cheapest one, so you want this to work because...
May I add something?
Yeah,
Johanna, is it okay to ask a question? Because actually,
please do.
I never met anyone who told me about a story about running out of battery somewhere with no charger in place.
Let's see.
Is anyone in the audience? Is there anyone who ever ran out of battery somewhere? 1, 2, okay.
3.
That's three out of, I don't know, 50 or 60 people.
Yeah.
That's not bad, actually.
But let's also see a show of hands for reliability issues. So who shares that reliability is still coming to a charge point that is supposed to be working, but it doesn't? Who thinks that it is still an issue? Yeah, I would say 15% maybe. Not very much, but we still have to work on it. It's a good one. Did they fix it in the end?
Yes, after 1 year. I made a YouTube video as well on it.
Before or after they fixed it?
After as well, before as well.
Okay, good. So now we understand.
My call session, my record session, everything.
We call you up when there's a charger that has to be
For
fixed.
sure.
So maybe let's move to the pricing issue. I think there's maybe two underlying topics here that we can piece apart. And the first one would be the fragmentation of the market still, and the intransparency when it comes to paying. So your experience was really related to, I actually need to have another app. I think it's probably a rarity that none of the big networks cover a charge point.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Absolutely, yeah.
But then, the next level is sort of this transparency. What do I pay?
Yeah.
How do you perceive this? This was also, coming up again and again here at the ICNC.
Yeah, for me, this was a particular experience that from the Tesla perspective, I have it on both sides, on the board in the car, and I have it on the app, and I see totally in the beginning of charging the transparency. Other systems, what I use, like where I can connect with a credit card.
Yeah.
I don't use any kind of app service on the way before charging. Then I don't have the transparency. I don't know. I see it at the end, maybe days after.
Days after, you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
How is it for the other two?
I was really passionate, so I was really forgiving, and I was downloading everything available on the app stores and trying to see and comparing their prices. And that was the thing I really was interested in. But since now I'm not working and now I'm communicating a lot of EV content to the general public, I'm getting the feedback a lot that people do not like the fact that they have to download too many apps. I know the CPOs like the loyalty programs, they want that the customers download their apps. But the thing is that if we consider masses, they just want it's easier and they want it to be reliable and it has to work. So that's the first feedback I was getting. And the second feedback I got in the comments was people are like, I do not go to a supermarket with 5 apps to find which banana is the cheapest one. And I also do not do it for the gas station. So why you are doing it in eMobility? I know you want to progress it further, but this blocks and gives the transparency again. You can have one app, you can have second app, and the price of the same charger could be 39 cents per kilowatt hour, or it could be 89 cents per kilowatt.
Yeah.
So you know it. So if you are a seasoned driver, you know what mistakes not to make. But if you're new, you will make the first time a mistake and you will be charging at 90 cents. Perhaps you will never know it, and then it will be too expensive.
Right, you will never know it. That's a fact. I like the service in the Tesla app that shows you the amount that you spend on electric charging compared to gas prices. And actually, that's the only one feature I use. I think, especially this audience, we are not probably so much price sensitive, whereas 80% of the population who would be the target group for EV would be price sensitive, and this is still an issue that's not solved. That it's not really a good reason to move from combustion to EV, and that's a pity. This should be better though.
I have a question for you. So you said now you moved away from the, 40 apps, whatever you had on your phone. Do you have any, best-in-class examples, any apps that you really recommend where you say, if you're dependent on public charging, they do it really well, they have this additional feature or special solution?
Depending on the use case where you are going to drive and where you're going to charge, I really like the prices of ICNC, because if I'm driving a lot on a highway, if you're a typical person in Germany who drives 12,500 kilometers per year, perhaps you will be driving a lot in cities, and perhaps not the best. But if you're like a company car driver, if you have a company car, or even if you like to go really big trips to Netherlands, I did all the trips, Netherlands, Switzerland, Austria. So I found the prices of ICNC to be quite transparent, but now there's another thing which is also coming, and I was really testing in the last few days, was the concept of dynamic pricing. And over there I found a new app called Carica. What I could see 2 CPOs, Falswerke and Ladegrund, but also I think MAR is also there. So they are testing new models where they are saying, okay, you do not have a fixed price for DC charging. Depending on the time of the day, for example, 8 in the evening till 4 in the morning, it's very cheaper prices. Then during the middays, when the usage of the grid is already high, it's higher prices. What they are, I think, trying to do is move the people to off-peak hours. And as a person who has worked in the industry, we gave the CPO solution that installed battery speicher, so battery energy system, to store the energy at the cheapest prices during the day and charge at night. But we can also shift the behavior of the people, private people. They say, okay, in the morning you charge at 70 cents per kilowatt hour, but if you can try at 7 p.m. in the evening on Wednesday, for example, or Thursday, it's only 45 cents. Perhaps it works then.
So maybe before we dive into the dynamic pricing, because I have it on my list as well, I would just like to wrap up this question about the fragmentation of the market and the accessibility of offers, because I think that if you want to reach the mass market, then it has to be simple, and then it's, people do not want to download or have like 10 different subscriptions. So I'd like to ask you what you would wish from the industry that are here today, what kind of improvements you would wish for, and whether you say, well, the most important thing is a seamless experience, no matter what the price is, or I'm not willing to pay that much for interoperability or coverage. So, like, what's your sentiment? What would you like to ask for?
Oh, where to start?
Yeah, let's go.
So working from the wish list,
Yes.
So to say.
For relating to the accessibility and fragmentation question.
Accessibility, yeah. There's one famous sentence in UX design that goes a little bit like, if you see something, say something, or if you see something, use the thing.
Yeah.
So, and this is the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest behavior and behavior barrier, so to say, that needs to be solved somewhere. You see a charging spot, and you should be able to use it.
Yeah.
Especially in public spaces. And I have no clue why there is no law. And I'm not saying we need laws for everything, but if there's a public space, why should there be a charging spot that is accessible to only a few users? It needs to be for everyone. It should be for everyone. So, and this maybe should even account for places that have a certain level of public interest, like stadiums or whatsoever.
Yeah. Ad hoc payment solves that?
That would solve it as well,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, one particular experience is the trust. If you have the opportunity to see, like Steve said, you see a panel, a station, and it works, then the trust starts. I, for example, take next to the supercharger ecosystem, the ADAC as a trust brand, where I said, okay, how do you think about this if I have not go out of the ecosystem of the Tesla supercharger, and they recommend for me Aral Pulse. So I am focusing on this brand. So if you get this brand trust, then I plan my tour on this particular route. If you see a panel where you don't have any experience with that, and
you rather avoid it.
Right.
So you're more like I trust my the one network, and that should be sort of really big, so I can access charge points anywhere. And you have a bit of a different stance. It's like, as long as I can access it, that's fine. You can tell different use cases, different preferences. So this is the standard requirement. You need to charge somewhere at some point for some kind of price, and we already covered a lot of the difficulties associated with it. So now let's move into the dynamic pricing, because I think it's adding a whole new level of not necessarily complexity, but it's additional mental load if you know that the prices also vary. So you already explained it's an offer that you would actually take up because you're price sensitive and you want to benefit from low price hours.
So should I?
Yeah, I would like to ask, what's your price sensitivity there? How many cents do I have to decrease the price to make you move? When you're available, you don't have to move any meetings or something.
The first thing is that depends on the country that I'm talking. Right now, I'm going to give an example only for Germany.
Yeah.
Because the price of charging per kilowatt hour in ratio to the price of gasoline per liter is the thing that we have to keep in mind. In Germany, when I think if I find a charger for 50 cents, or let's say the beautiful number 49 cents, which we're all right, this is a number where a typical person who drives in Germany, let's say Bundesstraße, the Land Street, as well as on highways, he consumes roughly around 18 to 19 kilowatt hours, let's say in summer. In winter, it goes around 22, 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer. On average, it turns around 9.5, 8 to 9.5 euros per 100 kilometer on the electric cars. But and then we have a discussion, then I can also discuss with the people, don't go for gasoline because the gasoline will cost you 12 euros, 13 euros. But at this point where the prices are right now, ad hoc you mentioned earlier, the ad hoc prices are now 79 cents or 69 cents. 79 is a better number, which is the most common one. You're charging at 14, 15 euros per kilowatt hour for 100 kilometers. And then it's really difficult to convince somebody to jump towards the e-mobility industry. And I talked about dynamic pricing because it's a lever. I saw some studies from also, for example, from Elva. So they showed that dynamic pricing worked on Volkswagen. So they dropped the prices for 2 or 3 days, really, really low. I think around 37 cents. I do not have the figure in mind. The usage on their utilization went by 250% up. So, and that's trickling down. I'm really glad that other CPOs are trying this model as well. Shell was also trying to do dynamic pricing. But I really want this thing to come down because it will support the grid. Because there will be one less argument from the anti-EV crowd where say that EV causes blackouts. And we can say, no, if the prices are really good, it will influence the behavior of the masses to charge at night or the day or on Sunday morning maybe at 8 o'clock. And they will be charging over there instead of, and they will be taking a newspaper, whatever. I mean, this person will be happy to charge there.
So do you think it would need some kind of a disastrous moment, like a blackout, so that the industry will make this more transparent and more enforce the dynamic pricing into the industry, into the car industry?
I hope not, because just recently the Spain was used in so many headlines, and that's where I tried to find out what could be the better solution, and then I just found that dynamic pricing could be something which will not help user, but also the nets, because the German nets, Johanna, you know how much complex this grid structure is in Germany.
But I would say that currently also many CPOs don't get the kind of information from their grid provider on like how to design it. You have to really collaborate then closely along the value chain. But I'd like to ask also the audience once more, dynamic pricing. So who has experienced, apart from Tesla, which I think is more about utilization, who has experienced other cases where CPOs or EMPs offered dynamic pricing at public charge points? So experienced. Okay, very few. Also some experts who charge a lot and who would like to see it more, and who would actually say, I'd be interested to receive a dynamic price and then change my behavior. Okay, low price sensitivity, I would say. Yes?
If I add one thing. In Germany, we have a market where 60% of the cars sales, new cars registered are company cars. I was a company car driver. I abused the car, I know. I never looked at the prices. So if you would have asked me 6 months ago or maybe 1 year ago, does the prices matter? I would say for my private, I just charge. But most of my 90% driving profile is my company profile. So I don't really care where I'm charging, and I don't even know what the prices I usually end up paying. And if you consider the amount of BEVs right now in Germany, they are around the total Bestand. I forgot the name of the word in English. It's around 1.8 million vehicles are right now EVs, and the boom came actually in 2020, where the numbers of EVs started jumping up. So these cars, the company cars, are always for 4 years for the leasing, and we are in the right point where these company cars are going to enter the private market. For used car prices, and I think this is the right point this year, next year, where you have to
think about mass market.
Exactly.
So thinking about sort of, before we open up for questions from the audience, because I already received a few, I want to ask one thing. What do you think is the most important aspect that needs to change for this sort of jump to the mass market? Thinking of your wife again. So more towards like customer journey, like user design, reaching people or making it an easy experience for people who are not part of this bubble, what would help your wife?
I have the experience, like Steve said, I have two daughters who
Yeah.
have their driving license the last 2-3 years now, and they're using our car, our Tesla car, and they observe a little bit different experience than Steve had. They observe in the young age how I charge the car.
Yeah.
So they had no problem to understand on the supercharger how to drop, and
Yeah.
it's totally normal for them. So the easy to use charging situation with plug-in payment starts, that's for me the point where
Just
the journey
seamless,
starts, the
frictionless.
seamless fraction start.
And you explain it once that it works, even though you don't have to do anything. So
Hard to understand sometimes.
yeah, okay.
I think I think that the entire EV charging experience and the hardware specifically is still too much designed for male audiences, for the OEMs, for the cars, and is not having the people in mind.
Yeah.
I think we missed a huge opportunity here in the past years where we could have had a different experience when we would have thought this from the ground up and not like a petrol station. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you do the same thing. Also, you have a different system, and this is a big missed opportunity. And I'm just afraid that you cannot rewind this, and this will not be changed probably. So we will stick with this kind of charging behavior, with the hardware, with the wires, with the plugs, with the payments, etc., for many more years, I'm afraid. But if we need a larger adoption in the space, I think this is one of the criteria where it needs more innovation, more thinking, more experiments. Like Bordsteinladen that we just had was one of my favorites, though. Even though it is very, I mean, it's not rocket science, though.
Yeah.
But it was a surprise that it's there and it's great. But it's the first invention I've seen, apart from the gazillion new megawatt charging per second. Therefore, in terms of mass adoption, I think we could deserve more innovation, more design for people, more design for different audiences.
For different use
and different use cases, and keep this in mind.
Yeah, super interesting.
I think I agree with Steve that there was opportunity to be used, and that's part because there is a huge install base of the chargers already right now, and these cannot be worked. But we were trying to, when I see the companies were trying to battle out which has a better screen, which has a bigger screen, etc. But the real thing was to make the charging like easier for a customer to understand who is new to it. So providing that instruction, okay, what to do. For example, a lot of people, even I, if the charging session does not work, so at least give some hints, okay, what could be done, why it probably did not work out, and just letting them some message over there. I think that's more important than really beautiful animation. Just, okay, present the card. If it did not work, now there's a message coming up, try again, or just giving a hint why it's probably not working. That brings transparency to a driver, and the driver feels much more comfortable driving because he understands, okay, why something did not work, and then maybe on the next charger he's aware maybe what he has to do.
Make it more transparent.
Exactly. Maybe it could be like internet connection was disconnected, and then it says, please try again.
Yeah.
And then it works, and he's like, okay, I really like this experience. It's much more innovative, and I understood it. And also the Bordstein, the pavement example you said. Now we are also talking about the lamppost. It's also in the past as well. But if that sort of solutions work for urban cities, I lived in Karlsruhe, so I did not have so many places to, but there are so many street lamps. So if in future these could be retrofitted with, I'll be so happy to charge.
Electricity fans here. But I find it really nice because it's actually also points that are not usually made like all the time. Like I haven't talked about any different kind of supply of electricity for cars in the last 2 days, and also the very easy sort of troubleshooting or explaining to the customer what's going wrong. But Helmut, you wanted to add something?
I want to add to that what Hermann said. I had two experiences the last 2 weeks. One experience was being in London, using public transport.
Yeah.
With a huddle of different, and we work a long time for the Munich Transport Authority, have different tickets, zones, what you have to pay, and this opportunity to have your contactless credit card to the e-gates, and then at the end of the day, they will cover your and you get
the best price.
The best price at the next day. Last week I had an experience in Frankfurt. I had a charging station where I only have to contact with my credit card to the payment system, and I have the plug. So I don't have to put my own cable out. I take it like a Tesla experience I had. Take my credit card, and then it works. It totally starts. And then the next step for me is looking on the pricing. I have at this moment psychological safety and the trust that it works, and I was at 8%. So I'm happy that the charging works, and then maybe the next step is also getting the transparency of pricing and using. But the access was so seamless and easy that's what I get the trust from.
That's good. So now we have a lot of customer questions from the audience. Very hands-on experience sharing here. So how did you decide which home charger to buy? I mean, you guys go ahead. You don't have a home charger, so.
Buying
which
decision.
one do you have?
Buying decision. Buying decision. I mean, it's the most crucial thing in the entire journey, though. I obviously bought a Tesla wall charger.
Because you have a Tesla.
Because you have a Tesla, because the even without them doing anything, you think that might be the best fit, and it turned out it actually was. But you need kind of an experience with the car along the way, and some driving experience, charging experience, and then you suddenly understand, oh wait, I could have used every cheaper charger on the market. So I then, that shouldn't be said, but I then assembled the chargers on my own, bought the stuff on eBay, and put one in my barn, one at home in our apartment store.
You're here for that. You're here to share your real experience.
Yeah,
Don't say I'm not allowed to say that.
Assembling, maybe I'm not allowed to say this. I shouldn't talk to my insurance. But anyways, this was after the one experience. How seamless it was, how easy it was, opening the Tesla charger, and you see, wait, there's nothing in. So that's so easy. And then assembling the parts on your own and put it together for €100 should work.
So DIY charge point assembly.
Not recommended.
So next up would be if you, now you're very experienced, if you have, for someone who has no public charging experience, is there a service that you would recommend for public charging?
Like the app or like the CPOs, for example?
Just,
I mean, the data shows that the number of charge points, the most number of charge points DC fast charger are from NBW. It's like 6,000 charge points. And they are really well populated when it comes to southern part of Germany. Really, you will find them everywhere. Cities, communities, shopping malls, wherever it is. So if you live in the southern part of it, and although I don't like the ad hoc prices they have, but if you like to have their subscription, you will find these chargers really everywhere, and a lot of them are already 150 plus, so it's 300 kilowatts. But that's pretty much, I would say, and also the other one will be ICNC, I would say.
Yeah. Also EMSP services, if you have any different, recommendations.
I just mentioned right now, it would be Carica for trying out, just testing out, do you like the dynamic pricing model or not? And
it's called Carica with K?
No, CARIQA.
Okay. For all of those who are interested, I haven't heard of it. Okay, so we have a couple of recommendations.
But NBW, ICNC, this will be my main.
Those are the main. Okay.
IOAs, everything is well done.
Then we move on to the next one. What about charge points blocked by ICEs, especially for AC urban charging? Is it an issue, and how to solve? Is it an issue? Maybe the.
Oh hell yeah, this is an issue.
Okay.
Forgot about
it. Post on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I have stickers on my car. Shitty parking. And I put a sticker out and. I know it's a dickhead move, but I'm frustrated when
it is a problem.
Combustion engines then use these very few slots and spots, and I never had really a problem finding another one though. But you go there, you see it in the app, and then someone stands in there, like, not good. Put out a little sticker on the wall, on the window.
Any ideas how to solve it? I mean, it's a hard question. Okay, we'll leave it to the industry. I wanted to say, because I get so many questions on here, please also, if you want to ask a question yourself, then raise your hand. Stuart, we have a question in the front row.
I just want to give the guys a bit of exercise from the back of the room. No, my question is, we've talked a lot about pricing and availability. My question is more about flexibility. So I know for Helmut and Steve, you're in a lot of meetings, and those meetings don't just go for half an hour or an hour at a time, and you can't walk out of a meeting halfway through a meeting to move your car. So how is flexibility an issue for you in parking and charging?
Stuart, yes, for me this is an issue. If you have regulated the time you are in a city like Munich and you have the opportunity to stay for 4 hours for charging at a parking slot, sometimes you want to regulate it a little bit via app or something that you say you stay longer or the charging is not as long, that the time is stopping. So flexibility will be not a purest issue, but could be could be on a page of the better experience, right?
So there's also the question of blocking fees, rip-off unnecessary, which kind of, connects to that. Depends on which position you're in.
I have a little story, if that may.
Please.
Maybe someone in the audience can answer this, but I have this hack, and I have no clue if it's working or not. But you park, let's say, main station, Berlin. You park, you leave by train, you come back next day, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, your car will be charged.
Yeah.
Fully charged after 2 hours. But you come back 10 hours, 12, 15 hours, 20 hours later. So I'm using within the Tesla app, I'm always using the slider and only move a few percentages just to prevent the system from saying, oh, you stopped charging for the last 2 hours, now you pay. I have no clue if this is working. Is this working or is this idiot hack? It's an idiot hack? Shit.
It's interesting hack. What you said, I made the same.
You did the same?
I make the same.
No.
Yeah. But I don't
Anyone
know
in
does
the
it work or
audience
not.
who also does that?
Okay, it's really not working, is it?
Not enough. There's one. Okay, we have a great... you can now find out what new hacks are to surpass the blocking fees.
But on the blocking point, I think there needs to be some changes now, because the blocking concept is kind of getting old and the battery sizes of the e-vehicles are getting larger and larger. And I've made calculations on several parking lots in different cities where I've seen which each, so Shell has different blocking fee and after different hours, NBW has different. So usually I've seen that all of the EMSP start after 4 hours.
Yeah.
After 4 hours, some are charging 4, some are charging 6 euros per hour, some are even charging after 2 hours, and this comes into the fact that the person is not really understanding how the prices on each charging point is different. But about blocking, I have this theory that AC charging, we need to bring it forward, but you need to also understand the battery sizes are now 77 kilowatt hours, 80 kilowatt hours battery. These are not the 40 kilowatt hours, 50 kilowatt hours batteries anymore, and they require at least 5 to 6, 7 hours to charge. And if I'm visiting a city different, for example, I'm going to Munich with my family, I will plug in there over there with 20% whatever. I would like to go out in the city after 4 or 5 hours, museum visit with my son, and then after dinner, or maybe with some restaurant, I'll come back. I do not want to have this blocking fee.
Yes,
So at least just be lenient, understand that the market is kind of moving. If you really want to have this blocking fee, I understand people can also abuse. That could also happen. But at least give some leverage, not just 4 hours. Try to go at least 6, 7, something like that. Because I've seen the receipt of a lot of people who unfortunately got 40, 50 euros blocking fee penalties. And somehow some have also made it a model as well.
One experience to this point is if you go to here in Berlin to the Alexa, where there's a supercharger station inside, and a lot of people go there also for having a shopping half a day
Yeah.
2 hours, 3 hours. If you go with a supercharger, your car is more or less in half an hour
Yeah.
at the blocking fee. And this is a stressful situation because you are with your kids maybe in the second floor and you have to move your car. That's a
not
point where
fitted the use case, sort of.
Right.
Do we have any more questions from the audience? There's a question over here and one over here.
Concerning pricing transparency, would you be open as an EV driver to bring your home energy contract to a public charging station?
Actually, this is a fantastic idea that I often thought about. Why are not many providers doing this, actually? Brilliant idea. It's a surprise that it hasn't been done yet, or I'm not aware of it at least. But I think we see more. I'm consulting a few energy supplier, and I know there are some concepts in place, and I assume we will see more of that in the future, because once a system matures, you have to come up with new ideas that are simple to be made, and I think within the next 2 to 3 years we will see that, I guess, from a different perspective.
There's another question over here.
Hi, continuing on the pricing topic. So my question is, if you could come up with the pricing model yourself that you would love. I know today we are talking about blocking fees, the kilowatt hour fees, but you could come up with a total new pricing model. What would that be?
I can give an example right now from US. It's working time of use, they call it.
Yeah.
And they are using the dynamic pricing model really on scale. Tesla is always doing it, so I cannot compare because they have very advanced ecosystem, but for a normal person who does not use a supercharger and does not own a Tesla, we have to look at US. They are using time of use dynamic. I mean, it's still a dynamic pricing model, but it's time of use. They are supporting the grid with it. This is a 330 million population, so even that over there, its concept is kind of successful. And they have also introduced one further model, which is for chargers below 100 kilowatts. This is a different pricing, even it's time of use. But if you go for a fast charger, 300 kilowatts plus, it's a different pricing. I think I would really like to have it. I'm not sure. I think people would probably also.
I think coming from the UX and innovation camp, I'm so much looking forward to a system where your home energy system is built in and somehow connected to your EV battery, so that you can load power maybe at your office where you have a solar panel on the roof, and then unload the energy at home where your battery maybe has drained or hasn't got such a big capacity. So I'm so much looking forward to those models in the future to see how this bidirectional charging would work. And there are already cars who can do that, right?
Yeah, we just saw.
Yeah, there's someone recently called it freedom behind the
it's
meter,
your face, right?
and I think
how is it called again?
freedom behind the meter. It
Freedom.
just means that
Sounds like
whatever
a
you do
film.
behind the meter is like you're free to do whatever, and you can treat your car battery as if it was a stationary.
Oh, freedom behind the meter.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice.
It's a nice movie title.
Any more suggestions on tariff design?
Flexibility, like Stuart maybe said.
Yeah.
You can decide on this, and like Steve said, I'm looking also forward for the
Integration.
bidirectional.
Okay, and bidirectional charging.
Bidirectional,
yeah. I want to. There's one last one which I think is quite interesting. What are your thoughts on paying for your charging session through the OEM interface? So moving away from the Tesla, so the car manufacturer.
As a Tesla driver, actually, yes, that's the thing.
So you would also wish for it from other OEMs?
That would be great, yeah. And especially when you drive different cars. We have in our car park 4 different brands. When you go abroad, I always try to use a different brand.
Yeah.
Just recently drove a Mercedes in the UK, and doing everything from within the car where the product is. So that's also a UX design principle. When you do it from within the product, and it's stupid to do anything out of the product, and that's a stupid journey. So you should obviously do it from within.
Should be able to do it all from the car.
Seamless, without even noticing.
And I just want to add something. I mean, if Volkswagen would have given this for free to me, I mean, I would have done it, but it's behind the subscription charges. But what I wanted to share was the most successful right now example for EVs right now. We always talk about China,
Yeah.
right? In China, I was recently talking to Felix Hammer. He told me that he was there, and he was so
Somewhere in the
surprised to see
audience also.
that he was driving, and the car was calculating all the charging routes, regardless which car he was driving in, he was able to find the charger with his car, and this made it so easy for him to really find the charging station.
And if
I would
you'll run out of time.
Yeah, we're kind of running out of time, and I would like to take the last minute to give you some time for closing statements. And I particularly would like to know what you would like to sort of ask Stuart and the rest of the team also to put more into focus next year. So what are the topics that really improve your driver experience that we should be discussing at ICNC in 2026?
Face-to-face panel, charger manufacturer, drivers,
Okay.
open conversation directly, getting the feedback directly from there, because as Subject always says, Christian also, we need to learn the different fragmented society. We have to bring all the requirements in one place, and what better way is to bring someone who's from the masses, early adopters, and together OEMs, charger manufacturers in one loop.
So not just one driver panel, but a driver on every panel. Almost.
Almost.
For me, it's the holistic customer journey, the experience. Bring these fragmented parts into one world of experience, and not only maybe that the Tesla is the world we look how we can do the user experience.
Have to move away from that also.
We have to move away, and also for me as a Tesla driver, it's good if there are new opportunities. But bringing it from the public panels to the car, maybe from the car to the phone when I leave the car for a moment, and integrate all these flexible parts, but on this way of the journey.
On a good customer journey.
Right.
Thank you.
I think the headline next year, Stuart, in the newspapers in Germany will be ICNC25 is the best platform for innovation in the space. And all these design hackathons you guys were doing, they offloaded so much innovation into the space for communities, for energy suppliers. So this will be amazing. That's the expectation for next year, this headline.
So, Steve, famous last word, perfect for bridging to the next panel. So thank you so much for that. But for now, I want to thank the three of you, and also for everyone who wants to discuss hacks of like how to bypass penalties and so on. Please find the speakers in the speaker lounge. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again here next year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.